Big Pauly back for a new video. Yes, he's here for a reason. This is my Star Wars ranking. I'm going to count down. We have 11 films in the list. We'll start with the bottom.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Attack of the Clones. Yes, this is the weakest Star Wars film of all 11. There are some good action scenes. We got some terrible dialogue though. Absolutely terrible dialogue. Some really bad wooden acting. A heavy use of CGI, probably more than any other film, more than any other Star Wars film. But there are some good things about Attack of the Clones, such as the arena fight at the end, Jango and Obi-Wan's fight. But yeah, it's the bottom of the list because it relies too much on a love story, and there's sand everywhere, and no one likes sand. Number 10 on my list is The Phantom Menace. Yes, it's quite low down. There are good things about The Phantom Menace I do enjoy, like the pod race, and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul's lightsaber battle at the end. Probably two of the best things. The music is really good. The acting is iffy. Jake Lloyd is iffy. Jar Jar is iffy. It's not as bad as Attack of the Clones, but it's still a very weak Star Wars film. But there are good things to enjoy about it.
Good luck, Han Solo. We'll have you flying in no time.
Number 9 on my list is Solo. Yes, although I did enjoy the film, it is quite low on my list compared with the films that come above it because I prefer the films above it. And Solo can be quite slow at times, as a little bit too much dialogue in some places. And it's a dark film. So it's a very dark and gritty film. But I love the whole heist thing. The train scene was probably one of the highlights of the film. Alden Ehrenreich did a really good job of portraying a young Han Solo. Kira was a good character. Obviously, Chewie's always great. And it's a good kind of like Western heist film. So yeah, it's not a bad film. It does get a lot more rap, unfortunately. That's only because a lot of people boycotted it at the cinema because of their displeasure with The Last Jedi and Disney and Kathleen Kennedy.
Hello there.
Okay, so number 8 on my list is the third of the prequel trilogy. Yes, Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3. This was much more heavily on action right from the very start. We had a half-hour space battle with Count Dooku and Sidious. So there was a lot more emphasis on the action. The dialogue was less cringy. The music for Revenge of the Sith was absolutely stunning. John Williams nailed it on this film. Yeah, the just whole look of it. It does look a lot digital, especially towards the end. But I love the whole, everything is falling down, you know, Anakin is turning to the dark side. The dialogue at the end between Anakin, you know, and Obi-Wan is actually really good dialogue. You know, you were my brother. And I loved you and all that kind of stuff. It's really touching. It's really touching. And I love how it connected to the middle trilogy, the original trilogy, you know, with like what happens to, you know, baby Luke and baby Leia, the way that it all sort of like falls into place, and the eventual rise of Darth Vader. Obviously, they end up ruining it by throwing in a no. So we've got a no thrown in there. And then, of course, George goes and ruins it by Master Skywalker. There are too many of them. What are we to do?
Master Yoda. Young Skywalker.
Okay, number 7 on my list is The Last Jedi. Yes, this is the movie that sparked fandom outcry. There was so much hostility when this film came out from so-called die-hard, hardcore Star Wars fans. I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan, but I really did enjoy this film because Rian Johnson decided to take it on a different spin. You know, he kind of thought, I know what everybody's expecting from The Force Awakens, but I'm not going to do that. So I loved the spin that he did with it. There were some slow moments, but everything from the Battle of Crate, the relationship between, you know, Kylo and Rey, you know, how they force projected, Luke's decision to isolate himself away from the Force, away from the Jedi, to not be involved was really good. And I had a laugh actually when he threw the lightsaber over his shoulder. I thought that was a really neat trick. And it basically said from the start of the film, this is not going to go the way you think.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
The old man gave it to you.
It's just very hard to understand you with all the...
Number 6 on my list is the film that started the new sequels. And it is The Force Awakens. Yes, the very first film directed by J.J. Abrams, who introduced us to the world of Rey and Finn and Poe, the First Order of the Resistance, with some fantastic dialogue thrown in, some great cameos, some great pieces. Although we don't get to see any Luke until the end, we get Han in spades, we get General Organa, Leia, we get lots of action, a really good villain, as in Hux. Yeah, I think Hux was actually underrated, and I think he is so mesmerizing and sinister in The Force Awakens, and I love it when he goes up against Kylo, and Adam Driver just as fantastic as Kylo. So yes, The Force Awakens, I absolutely loved it. Number 5 on my list is actually episode 6. Yes, it's Return of the Jedi, the third in the original trilogy. Like some of the other films, this actually did take a little bit of time to get going, maybe 20 minutes or so at the beginning, because we have the whole Jabba's palace set up. And it's kind of not what we expected after the massive Battle of Hoth on, in Empire, and the Death Star trench run and all that kind of stuff. But I love the whole setup with the skiff and the Sarlacc and Boba Fett at the beginning. The scenes with Yoda are fantastic. Poor little Yoda on his way out. The big battle at the end. The Endor battle is incredible. I love it. I love every minute of it. These Ewoks. I know a lot of people don't like Ewoks, but you get an Ewok with a bit of rope who throws it around a tree and hooks it onto a speeder bike. What's not to love? It's fantastic. We only needed them in The Mandalorian, yes. So yes, and the final battle of Return of the Jedi between Darth, Luke, and the Emperor just sitting there, smug look. Ian McDiarmid was absolutely amazing. We've had him in the prequels, but this is the film that made him really scary. I was terrified as a young teen of the Emperor. He just pulled it out, and he was really evil. And the dialogue, probably Return of the Jedi has the best dialogue of any Star Wars movie. Just between like Luke, the Emperor, and Darth Vader on that like last stretch, that final act. So yeah, Return of the Jedi, fantastic.
You're letting her keep it. Would you like to know the probability of her using it against you? It's high.
Let's get going.
It's very high.
Number 4 on my list is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I know, the prequel to A New Hope. I just loved everything about this film. I saw it on a midnight showing. The audience loved it. It was probably my last midnight Star Wars experience where everybody was just loving what we were seeing. You know, there was no hostility, there was no bad vibes. Everyone was there for a great time, and we had one hell of a roller coaster ride. Everything from Jin, you know, to Mads Mikkelsen, Ben Mendelsohn. I love the settings, Scarif. I love the look of the troopers, the ships, the throwback with the X-Wings, the battle. It just looked so beautiful, and it tied in so well with A New Hope. Even on the Rebel base with the haircuts on Yavin 4, they and the sideburns and the beards, they are made to look like they're still stuck in the 70s with their hair. And I just love how they seamlessly blended that together. It's just so many great scenes in Rogue One. It is one of the best Star Wars movies. The music is stunning. It's not John Williams, but it's absolutely stunning and haunting in places. As I say, the end battle with the X-Wing fighters and the Star Destroyers and the Hammerhead cruiser was a fantastic scene. And of course, that final scene with Darth Vader boarding the ship. It still gives me chills now. It still gives me chills, but really happy feelings. And I absolutely adore so much of this movie. If I could have moved Rogue One higher up my list, I would have, because it is a Star Wars fan's dream to have a film like Rogue One. And all the CGI, the de-aging, the CGI of Princess Leia and, you know, Peter Cushing, don't look too closely. And it's perfectly fine. You know, if they'd done it now, we wouldn't have noticed the difference. It would have been so perfect. But it was really good. I won't say for its time, because it's only a couple of years old. But I have no problem with the CGI at all. And the way that it seamlessly connects into the beginning of A New Hope. And Gareth Edwards, the director, said that his hope is that when you watch Rogue One, the first thing you want to do when you get home is put on A New Hope. That's what I did. That's what a lot of people did. And he said, if we do that, then we know that we've done our job. And it is such an amazing compliment to A New Hope. So Rogue One is number 4 on my list. And number 3 on my list is the end of the Skywalker saga. That's right, the Rise of Skywalker. I've seen it twice now. I know a lot of people have seen it more. But it's such a great film. Some people didn't like certain parts of it. I know the beginning of it was a little bit slow to get started, like the first 25 minutes or half hour. But I love how they introduce the characters again, build everything up. But the planets we go to are fantastic. The lightsaber battles are great, especially the one between Rey and Kylo on the remnants of the Death Star in the water. That's fantastic. An amazing cameo with Kylo. My God, my heart stopped when I watched that. The Emperor, of course, is back to cause havoc. He's had years and years to muster up this new fleet of Star Destroyers that can now destroy planets. And it's just a great film. It's a great ending to a 42-year saga. And a lot of people didn't like the beginning. A lot of people didn't like the end. I've got no problem with it at all. Just go with it. It's a great Star Wars movie. And it's just a lot of fun. That's all that you want when you go to the cinema, to be entertained. And I was entertained right to the end of The Rise of Skywalker. So The Rise of Skywalker is number 3 on my list.
He doesn't like you.
I'm sorry.
I don't like you either.
Number 2 on my list is the original Star Wars, A New Hope. Now, this film is what Star Wars is mainly all about. The introduction of this farm boy. We've got the damsel in distress, the princess. We've got the scruffy-looking nerve herder, Han Solo, and his sidekick Chewie. We get introduced to the droids. You know, we get introduced to the Empire, the Rebel Alliance, the Death Star. Peter Cushing again, looking less CGI. But I love everything about the original film. You know, breaking out the princess from the Death Star, the lightsaber battle between Alec Guinness and Vader, the Death Star trench run, you know, blowing up the Death Star. Everything about the film is great. The dialogue is top notch. The dialogue is fantastic. And everybody acts their socks off, and it is just a joy to watch. And this might be a lot of people's top number 1. But for me, there's only one number 1. So A New Hope comes in second.
No. I am your father.
Okay, so my top Star Wars film of all time, you've probably guessed it, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Everything about this movie is what influenced me as a movie lover, and why I like science fiction, why I love space films, why I love good writing. Everything about this film helped create what I love about movies. The battle on Hoth with the speeders and the AT-ATs, one of the best battles ever, not in space. Just a fantastic battle. Cloud City, the introduction of Lando and Boba Fett, the lightsaber battle between Luke and Vader. Such a special scene in the middle of the film with the little green friend, Yoda. There's something about the scenes on Dagobah and Yoda, the puppet Yoda. Forget all this CGI rubbish. Give me a puppet Yoda any day. That's why I liked the Yoda in The Last Jedi. And because it was moulded on the original Empire Strikes Back Yoda. That's why he resembled so much the puppet from Empire Strikes Back. Not that crappy puppet that they used in the Phantom Menace to start with. That had no resemblance to Yoda. But there's just so much heart in these scenes on Dagobah, and Yoda, he just comes to life. And the dialogue is fantastic. The asteroid scenes, I could just watch it over and over and over and over and over and never get bored. It's just a truly spectacular Star Wars film, and you can't make a better Star Wars film than The Empire Strikes Back. Probably the only thing that would probably put it into second place is probably Baby Yoda. Please, can we have a Baby Yoda movie? Fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed my list of Star Wars films from number 11 to number 1. Everybody's going to have a different ranking, and everybody's going to have a different preference. So stick down in the comments your top 3 Star Wars movies of all time. it's nice to see how other people's rankings are. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed the video. Like it by giving it some thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. And me and R2 will see you on the next video. Bye.